All right, guys, so we have a Speed Queen here today, and we're going to change the element. It is running, but it's not heating. And we already verified that the element is bad, so we are going to remove it. Now, moving on down here, this is the business end of it. I'm sure there's some people that will fight with this thing and try and remove this bottom piece, which I'll show you, and try and fight and get the element out and get it on a lot better, easier way. And when you open your dryer, take this front piece off and pull the drum out. You can actually do a good job. You can see if there's any damage or to the rollers, clean your dryer out if needed. So that's the way to do it. All right, that's the proper way of doing it. So first things first, you have two 5/16. You're gonna take those out, and then you're gonna tip this, pull it, it basically falls down, and then you're gonna have this bottom piece, and should be two screws there. Remove those, and you're gonna tip this, pull this whole front piece, you bring it up forward, and you remove it, and then we're pretty much going to be on the inside, and I'll walk you through it, but that's how you start this thing. All right, be mindful of your door switch. Pay attention. Oh, wow. All right. I was just explaining to be mindful of your door switch, and look at that. I damaged that. All right, so be mindful of that. So now we have to fix that. So it slipped. So we have to get a connector and re-splice that. So there you go. So also, you could have removed it from up here. This is your door switch wire. He goes there, pay attention. Right at the bottom. So we're gonna be taking this guy off. We have to get another connector and re-splice the black, and he goes in the middle. We'll leave this one on here for now, just so we have a reference point. We won't forget, but just in case. All right. All right, so now we're done with the switch wire. Now you see this round thing here? If this is in the front, it goes around here. Actually, it goes on your door. Around there, so we'll put that on. So, no big deal. All right, so now we're gonna be removing this. We're gonna be removing this one, this one, taking this front piece off. Move these, or take the wire harness out, but it's so much easier. These you can remove, you squeeze, and they're out. But put these back in so we know where they go and there's no mistakes. And black goes to the bottom. Wires are actually different size, so you can't mess it up, meaning the black one is smaller, so you can't mess it up. Okay, let's take this apart. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take these out as well, so you have access to raise this, because it will have to be removed anyways. easier access to get the drum out. Now we have all the screws out. We're gonna lift this thing. Those are the only screws that you really need to remove. All this will come out as one. So you pretty much, you can grab it, take this out so you don't damage it, leave it in. But we're gonna take it out anyways to clean it because they do get filthy as well. So you just grab, lift, and pull it out. Okay. Just be mindful of that piece. You don't want to damage the felt. All right, and I'm gonna vacuum this nut out as well. You can see you do have some stuff in there. Not too bad. So, but 7/16 screws. Remove that and get this thing cleaned out. All right, moving the belt and pulling out the drum so we can actually work on this thing. So we're going to be cleaning or blowing this thing out. While you're in here, examine your belt, make sure your belt is not damaged, stuff like that. Of course, you're going to be vacuuming this thing out. Well, looks like this unit was actually running, taking forever to dry. So here's your element, and I'm going to be removing this. So pay attention to your wires. Now this wire was burnt, so we're going to have to reconnect a piece to here. He was burnt, he sat right there, and so this element was damaged. Make sure you unplugged. No need for chances. Now, the terminal was damaged, so we'll take a look at the element to see how bad or badly it's burnt, but there's no continuity. So it comes straight out. You got a screw there and one there. Lift it down. All right, so once everything is out, you can transfer your new element. If you have new thermostat, go ahead and change those. My element has thermostats, so I'm going to just remove them and reattached. If your thermostats are not new, you remove them from the housing, 2 screws each, and then you set them down, and then you reattach them to the element accordingly. Just be mindful of your element wires. You don't want to get those damaged or bent. Yeah, so he would go up here, just so you know. And then this guy would go here. For reference. Ah, there it is. And that's where it failed. And we'll clean behind here as well. You have some lint. So we'll get this thing vacuumed out before we do anything. So yeah, you can pretty much just set this whole thing outside. These squeeze, put your clip back so you don't lose it, and take it all out so you can actually work on it properly. It's all part of your maintenance, guys. See that? You can't leave that like that. So we're gonna clean this up, put a wire brush to it, get all that stuff cleared off. All right, guys, you see this here? So this dryer had some heating issues. You see how this different color? Now, if you look at the other terminal, it's not as brown, okay? Here's the replacement. See that? If you have this and it's that color, if you put it on and it's not super secure, meaning you can pull it off easily, do not leave that. Okay, you're going to end up with this heating up and destroying and burning the wires. So, or even prematurely burning out the element. So you do want to replace this. If you can't replace the end, then replace the wire with it or find a replacement end. Okay, otherwise it will damage. It will continue to damage. A lot of times you can't really squeeze these back because they have lost their, you may say, ability to stay. You can try, but a lot of times when you squeeze them, they won't stay long. And as soon as you put it on, it will heat up or just won't keep holding that good strength. So just replace the wire. Now we're going to use a wire brush and get that off. Wow, this is pretty bad, guys. Super bad. I'm going to have to actually hit it up again with the torch, get it softer, and then scrub it off. But yeah, sometimes what you can also do is get a hammer and just something, and what it does, once you hit it, it basically starts to chip off and peel off. It gets so crispy and it gets rigid. I'm going to work on this. I might have to use a heavy-duty wire wheel on it. Got to get it all off before we put it back. I'm going to finish this dryer, get it vacuumed out. All right, so now we are done on the inside doing the vacuuming. You want to grab your vacuum and you want to turn it around, basically turn it into a blower. Motors are always hard to clean out, so you want to basically blow them out and get everything out really well. And this is where your element heat goes, so you want to blow this out as well. So we're going to do that. Big difference, guys, when you do the blowing, because you're getting everything out. Big difference. Now all you gotta do, final vacuuming, and everything's nice and clean. All right, so as we're doing our cleaning, we want to make sure we get everything. So this cover here, which is on the front. This is where your lint screen is. So we're going to pull this piece off. Now, you do have a series of screws all the way around. And the only problem is this particular screw, this one and this one, you will have to use something small enough that will fit right there. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get these two out. Now you can just lift this off and clean it. As you can see, if you're going to go deep, that's why I always recommend you take the machine apart where you can actually get into it. Just do a good job and get it done right, and you'll be happy. So we're going to get this stuff cleaned out. Probably going to use like a rag or something because it's pretty like sticking. You can't really just vacuum this. I might take this out. 5/16 screws, or actually one screw, and it comes out, so you can actually get it nicely done. Of course, same thing here. And all right, everything's nice and clean. Make sure if you do move this to get it back into its place. And now we're going to be putting this thing back together. Make sure all your screw holes are lining up. And from here on, pretty straightforward. They're 1/4" screws. Put them in, and that's it. All right, so hopefully you guys paid attention. And like I said, if you're going to take anything off, pay attention so you don't run into issues getting it back together. As a separate connector, which for this blue wire, so this would go here, which is fine. But like I mentioned earlier, this is damaged. And he would go to the element. So what I might end up doing now is having to cut this off and resolder a new piece from this guy on here. Because otherwise it's just going to be, it's just not going to fit. I'm going to see how soft it is. Nah, this is no good. Let's cut this off. Nope, too soft. All right, so we got our new end. We're going to strip this, solder it, heat shrink it, and we're done. So now we can bring this guy back over here. Move this guy out of the way. He will be here. And then your other wire is going to go over here. And then this wire will go here to the element. So we're going to put these on, 1/4" screws. And then we can set him right back there and button this thing up. So we're done, everything's done. Nice and clean. Rollers, good. Now we're gonna put the drum in. So if you want, you could have something underneath here, and that helps to keep the drum in place. Nice and clean, by the way. And then once you have gotten this piece in, you can remove whatever it is to support that. It just keeps the drum in place. All these short screws, the longer screws are going to be left for that. That's your panel. So don't forget. And then your other screws, short screws, going to be for this piece. So now we're pretty much done. We're going to be putting on the door piece. Don't forget you got your screen, which is that big gasket. I'm going to wipe this thing down too to have some lint on it. All right, we're almost done. Then you do have two other screws here. All right, you got your rubber gasket. Goes around. So if you notice yours is off, that's where it goes. All right, so the black one goes to the center. The red goes to the bottom, in case you forget. So we need to get this in. Set it there. And again, black is in the center. Make sure it's nice and secure. And you really can't mess these up. If you remember where the only one you can mess up would be the center and the top. And then the red, it's larger, it goes to the bottom. And that's it. Just make sure that nothing is sticking out when you put it in. Now you're gonna have to raise the bottom and insert it under here. Then you have your screws you got to put in. So I do need two hands. I do not want to drop it again. All right, so got that in. Check your wires, make sure nothing is rubbing. Those should be pretty nice, loose and free and safe back there in that corner. And check along the edge. Make sure nothing is missing. We do have our screw left on this side. We do have to put on still. Make sure everything's nice and tight. All right, one screw there, and then we got the bottom piece. Then we plug it in and make sure that nothing is rubbing. Very crucial. Nice and clean. Make sure the wires are not rubbing on the drum. Everything looks good.